an 8-time All-Star, famous pitcher for the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago Cubs, are inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014, and the pitcher for the 1995 World Series. Greg Maddux once said that the secret to his success of being a good pitcher is to be able to locate your fastball and then change the speeds to be able to win the game. We are Team Libre. My name is Alexis Cooper. My teammates are Cher Stebeck and Connor Dunn. And today we're going to talk about how Voss can use the fastball that it is located in order to be able to change the speeds and win the game. Currently, Voss has 2 types of products that it offers: still and sparkling water. It distributes these products over a global network through high-end retailers, hotels, and restaurant chains. Yet in recent years, Voss has faced a continuous problem in that its revenue growth has been declining year over year. And in especially recent years, 2009 and 2010, it's faced a sharp decrease. The challenge that Voss faces is how can it continue to grow while maintaining its brand to be able to be profitable? Well, our solution is that Voss should focus on its fastball, its brand that it's created, and use different speeds through channel penetration, social media marketing, as well as product development in order to be able to pitch right to the catcher and win the game. The industry of bottled water is forecast to see substantial growth in coming years. And we asked ourselves with this strategy, what are the winners going to be and what are the losers going to be in the future? The losers are going to have no price premium. They'll be operating on a razor-thin margin. They will have a limited customer base because they won't be global, or they won't be across all other markets, and their customers will be competing more on price rather than on brand and on quality. The winners, in contrast, and what we want for Voss, will be able to have high repurchase and retention for their customers. They'll be able to have and maintain a strong brand that will differentiate them from competitors, and they will have a global base that will allow them to continue to grow and maintain their customer base. We looked at the target customers for Voss, and we said, well, who are they pitching to? Who's catching this ball that we're throwing? And what we found is that their target audience, or their target consumers, are active. They are 18 to 38 years old, or the millennials. They are metropolitan and sophisticated. They have they're college educated or professionals, and they have a high disposable income relative to other consumers in the market. And from a marketing perspective, we see that there's really kind of 2 levers that you can pull in order to increase revenues. You can go to new markets, or you can focus on your markets, or you can focus on your products. For Voss, they're already in a global market, and so for them, they're where their customer base is. They're in these higher disposable income markets already. We felt that for that reason, it was better instead to focus on the existing markets and focus on channel penetration and on product development in order to increase their repurchase and retention for their customers and focus on attracting more customers in that base.
If a product isn't a brand, it's essentially just a commodity. And frankly, water is actually probably the largest commodity out there. As Alexis said, the winners have to differentiate based on brand. And so one of the ways that we want to be able to grow Voss, grow their revenues, and maintain their brand is by adding value to their core customers. And their core customers need new products, and they need expanded product differentiation. And frankly, right now, Voss only has 2 products in the flavored water segment, which is expected to grow at a CAGR of about 11.5% from 2013 to 2019. And Voss needs to be able to address this current market demand that it's not currently offering. Voss needs to add more products to the mix, such as seasonal products. Seasonal innovations can benefit Voss in both flavor and design of the water bottle. Seasonal innovations such as peppermint in the winter, regular mint in the spring, and even pumpkin spice in the fall can add more value to their consumers. And what's more, Voss could be able to attribute a new design to its iconic glass bottle and perhaps charge an even greater premium for that type of product. Now, one of the main focuses that we want to give to Voss right now is to address the fitness market, because its core customers are millennials. Millennials are very health conscious. They want to drink lots more bottled water. They're drinking a lot less soda, but Voss doesn't have any products that are going towards these customers. So Voss needs to create a product to fit this type of lifestyle, one that is flavor-filled, one that is infused with electrolytes and vitamins and things that help these types of people live that type of active lifestyle that they so enjoy. Right now, Voss has no products here, and Voss has an opportunity actually to increase its margins by transferring from the glass bottle in this segment to a plastic bottle, which will actually be readily accepted by consumers who are very active because, number one, it's very inconvenient to carry a glass bottle when you're exercising, and number two, a lot of places such as gyms and workout facilities don't even allow glass bottles in the first place. So this is a great opportunity for Voss to address this growing demographic trend. Another pitch that we want to be able to throw to our core customers is matching the types of products with the correct types of channels. So when we're looking at the ideal channel for Voss, it's one that has a considerable amount of traffic, one that the traffic in there actually has customers that have higher disposable incomes and are willing to use those disposable incomes on luxury items. They're willing to pay premiums for premium products. Some of the channels that Voss currently isn't in that we want Voss to focus on for its luxury iconic glass bottles are places that its core customers frequent, such as airports, casinos, specialty grocers, luxury car dealerships, and even country clubs. These are places where people are typically comfortable purchasing one or two bottles at a time, and they're willing to spend that extra premium. So this is a great way for Voss to grow its revenue. Now, having said that, we don't want to take away from the take-home retail market or not focus on it, because simply it's too large to ignore. However, Voss's strategy in this segment has been largely unfruitful. It's come up with a product that is, the Voss Red bottle has actually detracted from Voss's core image. So we want to reinforce that core image that Voss so coherently carries and introduce a smaller PET bottle version to address for the take-home retail market. This will have actually no design differentiation. We want to differentiate based on size of the product, and we want to differentiate based on the quantity that's purchased. So this product will actually still maintain a price premium as opposed to other products such as Dasani or Evian or San Pellegrino even. But it will be at a lower price point, obviously, than its iconic glass bottle. Customers in this retail segment are very accustomed to purchasing in bulk. They're not going to the store just for one or two bottles of water. They're going for a pack of 6 or a pack of 12. And these are the customers that we want to address. So by expanding into these retail segments and adding more products for these people, we believe that Voss will truly be able to add value and increase its brand equity.
A third pitch to level 2 consumers is marketing. Currently, Voss uses very minimal marketing, relying on word of mouth between loyal customers. So we would recommend to increase the level of marketing through social media, social responsibility initiatives, and sponsoring events. So with social media, half of their target customer, millennials, is influenced for purchases from social media, with these sites being the most influential in regards to purchases. So one valuable resource that we found would be social commerce. Social commerce is a combination of social media and e-commerce, where the posts in social media have links directly to e-commerce sites so that consumers can very quickly purchase the items that they see on the social media. So this will not only improve customer interaction, but also ultimately boost the revenues. As well, endorsements. Traditional celebrity endorsements can be very pricey and are not for Voss at their revenue level. So we would recommend to go into social media to find celebrities and influencers that way, to share the brand image, to their target audience that way because it's less expensive, but it will also reach the target audience. As you can see, millennials find and discover and share brands this way through endorsements. As well, through advertisement, again, traditional advertisement, we recommend to stay away from that because it's very costly. But through social media, it's not only less expensive, but also, again, more relevant for the target audience here. Keeping in mind, of course, as you scale it globally, to be sure to alter the message to fit the appropriate demographic and region. So, Voss already has a really strong ethics of corporate social responsibility. Their challenge now is to communicate that to their audience, because 3/4 of consumers pretty much, across the board, regardless of age, care about corporate social responsibility and use that when making purchasing decisions about which companies they go to. So we recommend to stress the environmental side of Voss. The glass bottle, it's very environmentally friendly, reusable. Also the glass is recyclable. Yeah. And 2/3 of consumers are actually willing to pay more for products that they deem are environmentally friendly, so we can capture the premium that way. In fact, most consumers actually feel guilt when they don't purchase environmentally friendly products. And so capturing that emotion there is something that Voss should target. As well as with endorsements, celebrities are a lot more likely to get on board with the message that they really care about. And so Voss can use their voices to further the target brand without the large price tag. So, and with profit donation, so consumers care about the overall corporate social responsibility of a company and how it's viewed sustainably globally. So Voss needs to be more direct in their marketing message to show their customers about all the profits that they donate to their various charitable and humanitarian type foundations. That would definitely boost interest. So with marketing events, we thought of a few. With charity events, a great way to reach a customer and have that direct link. Events are a great way for Voss to design an experience that coincides directly with the experience they want for the brand as a whole. And for example, the Voss Foundation has a great online presence, but bringing that online presence into a tangible reality that can be shared with other people who can go and then share that story with others would be great for the brand. As well as fitness events, with the introduction of the fitness products, having inclusive fitness events such as runs would be helpful for spreading the brand, as well as events focused more towards arts, people who enjoy the luxury of finer things, targeting those as well. So how do we get that pitch across home plate? We'll begin with the advertising, the marketing, getting that rolling. Within a couple months, identify and start selling through the new channels and working on that product development until eventually the seasonal and the new flavors can be released. Our long-term goal, though, is to use these new pitches, the channels, the products, the marketing, to be able to scale that globally and win the game.
So in baseball, the goal is, from a pitching perspective, to have as many strikeouts as possible to win the game. But sometimes, as we all know, the batter gets lucky and he gets a hit. So, what are some of those chances for hitting, and how can we offset that? Well, one of the first ones that Connor already mentioned is that Voss has already tried to attack this retail market by going in with the red strike. What we suggest, and as Connor's already mentioned, is that we're not going to touch that iconic bottle or image. We'll adjust the material, but we won't mess with the brand itself. Another risk is just the different products as well, glass versus plastic, but we believe we can differentiate those as well with price discrimination. And finally, the opportunity cost that comes from choosing to focus on the existing markets instead of the new markets as well. But how do we win the game? As we've discussed today, we plan on focusing channel penetration as well as social media marketing, and finally product development to really be able to deliver a globally scalable model that can send the pitch right across home plate and win the game every time. We welcome any questions that you have at this time.
Thank you. So I'm curious about the red stripe packaging, and you mentioned using a smaller form factor, but you seem to be implying that the problem with that previous strategy was the actual red stripe. But could it be something other than that? Could it be the price point? Could it be the different materials? Are you saying that it is the red stripe? And if not, why would just a lower or different form factor avoid that same problem?
No, definitely. That is definitely a risk that that we are incurring, that we actually aren't 100% sure what the problem was. Could it have been the price? Yes, and for that reason we want to maintain a price premium over the other brands, even though the product might not contain as much water, it still has to have that type of premium mentality. It is still a risk, but again, it's a larger risk to ignore the take-home retail market. Winners in the future have to be in the take-home retail market. There's really no other option for them. And this is the best strategy that we've come up with to be able to address that. It's going to take some restructuring potentially in the future, maybe introducing more products to the take-home retail market. But we think initially this is the best way to test if consumers are really going to pick up on the brand and enjoy that. I think largely one of the reasons that customers were shying away from the bottle is based on the bottle image. But again, that's something that we should revisit in the future.
So I also have a question. Could you go back to where you were going to sell the product?
With the channels?
Yeah, the channels. That'd be great.
Yes.
So my question sort of is in line with Tony's question.
Sure.
And keep going back, right there. Yeah. So what you're saying is you're going to sell the shorter plastic products in Amazon, sort of Smiths and those types of locations, right? So my question is why go there? This seems analogous to what they've already done.
Right.
And the consumer base said, look, it distracts from the higher end, the higher price point, the image that I want to give off. Well, why don't you start, in similar vein, why don't you start off like a Harrods or a Marks and Spencer, really at the high-end grocery stores in certain locations, and start there as sort of your initial focal point of home sales, rather than going to Amazon and Smiths, which to me really is just, it's a pig, right? It's still a pig. You just put different lipstick on it. And that's what they've done here. So thoughts on that?
Absolutely. We completely agree. It's still a pig. Unfortunately, this pig is getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. And so what we did and what our initial thoughts were was we need to have this this high-end mentality with this brand. And you'll see we do focus on specialty groceries. Perhaps specialty maybe didn't convey the meaning we were looking for, but we did consider the fact that these need to be premium. So we thought of like Whole Foods, for instance, or AJ's, or Harrods, as you mentioned, these more higher-end status type grocers. So absolutely. However, we realized that sometimes if you're going to a workout, you don't want to buy the same bottle every time, and you don't want to, maybe it's not practical for you to refill it for whatever reason. And so buying a caseload of water bottles, of glass water bottles, would be extremely heavy and extremely dangerous. And so our idea was we can still attack that broad market, or our target consumers by kind of adapting to be able to fit their lifestyle as well. And that was more of the idea behind the plastic bottles. Not so much trying to attract new consumers, but to be able to pivot and fulfill the needs of our target consumers better.
Thank you.
How are you ensuring that it's taken? How are you ensuring that they perceive these bottles to have the premium that the rest of the standard glass bottles have?
Yeah, that's definitely a risk that we considered. I think to maintain that sort of brand image, two things: keep it, relatively exclusive. Don't be going and putting it on the shelves of every Walmart in America, to maintain that brand image that the consumer that Voss is targeting, where do they shop, and also keep the design of it fundamentally the same, making sure that the image, that the person wants as they're holding the bottle is the same throughout, is continuous.
The reason I ask is, isn't Amazon essentially the online Walmart? It's making it as ubiquitous as you can.
Yeah, we don't see it that way. Amazon has a lot of different facets for purchases, and a lot of people actually can purchase their Voss online, and that, these people that we're targeting, they're active, they're busy, they're professionals, and ordering things online through Amazon is, the way of the future, and so having Voss there, ready to pick up on that, could be a great growth segment in the future.
Yeah, and just to add on that, Amazon actually has a membership model, so it's kind of got that status symbol going with it as well for people that, people of all different types of incomes buy from Amazon. And so actually Amazon would also be a place where you'd be able to sell the glass water bottles as well for people that just want them to come straight to their home. They don't want to have to go to the Harmons or the airport just to buy these products. So I would say that Amazon would definitely be a place where you'd be able to have all types of products available.
The case suggests that one of the main issues around going plastic was that internally within Voss, they said that the employees felt as though the brand, it would diminish the value of the brand. So I think you've done a good job of sort of arguing the case for plastic bottles, but how would you mitigate some of the damage that type of approach, which seems to come from a new CEO with a Snapple Dr. Pepper background, to Voss, sort of a southern Norwegian type company. What do you think about the internal damage that you'll do by doing this?
I think you're absolutely right. There's a risk, and as the case outlines, they've already messed it up once, so we can't afford to make the same mistake again. Our reading of the case led us to believe that it was more in how the product was presented to the employees that resulted in that internal damage. We believe by focusing on how we frame the issue and frame the proposal for the employees, we'll be able to mitigate a lot of that damage. Like we've outlined in our strategy, instead of saying we're changing the product so that more people can buy it, so that we appeal to a broader consumer segment, we're saying this is the people we care about. This is our love group. And right now we're not able to fulfill all of the needs that they have because of their lifestyles. This plastic bottle will allow us to maintain that same type of image that they already love, but it will allow them to be able to use this more effectively and in more aspects of their life. And so, like with a lot of different things, it really depends on the perspective. But I think we believe that if we frame it the right way, we'll be able to get not just employees but also shareholders on board with this idea.
Great, thank you.
What about the distributors? So, I know that distributors are really important to Voss, and so expanding these new channels, how will you leverage those existing relationships and build new ones?
Well, the great thing about the existing distributors that they have is that they have a global reach. Many of the hotel chains that they are working with, such as Marriott or even Hilton, have a very broad range. So those are really your core customers. Those are people that are going to get your product out to lots of different geographical areas. And it's about keeping them happy. You have to make sure that they understand your brand and that they're willing to push that type of premium onto their consumers. Does that answer your question, or?
Yes, I just didn't see it mentioned in your presentation. You talked about new channels
Sure.
in referencing distributors, because that was just how do they come to play?
Oh, definitely. Well, adding new distributors into the mix is going to be a challenge, but with the connections that some retailers have and some hotel distribution chains have, it'd be important to leverage that. This is really about leveraging relationships more than it is about leveraging actually necessarily the product. So.
And including new channels, really, it gives the distributors more opportunities, more places that they can sell the product, more opportunities for them. So I think if we frame it like that we're just giving the distributors more opportunities, then they will more easily get on board with it.
Can I ask a question? I want to talk about the issue of corporate social responsibility, please. You talked a lot about events. You talked about charity events. I'd like you to quantify for me the benefit of participating in these charity events and what the benefits are then of your corporate social responsibility efforts. I see, they are willing to pay more, but have you quantified the benefit to Voss?
So really the benefit comes from the value that the consumers place on corporate social responsibility, which right now isn't really being communicated to their consumers. They see Voss, they think luxury. We don't think luxury and responsibility. And so making that more visible through things like events that people really love to interact with and create just a better experience that kind of shows that aspect of Voss. So it's not just a luxury brand anymore. It's a luxury brand that is socially.
But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? When you say corporate social responsibility, I mean, is this lip service to just say, and we are involved in CSR. We are involved with this. How are you going to prove that to these people who seem very concerned about corporate social responsibility?
Yeah, they can definitely put numbers to it. I mean, Voss already right now is really involved through Voss Foundation and other organizations. They contribute a lot. They have a lot of humanitarian efforts, building wells in Africa. They have, sustainable, trying to create, better environment for like water throughout the global. And so just getting that, clarifying that for consumers, the things that they're already doing, I think would be very helpful.
I think another great avenue that they could go is through social media marketing, especially with YouTube, because people love to see videos of what could you do with a Voss bottle, and then you can show all the different opportunities that Voss has to reuse the Voss bottle in many different ways that people are already doing, but really isn't being built into their brand and their strategy. In addition, they have an opportunity potentially to recycle some of the old used bottles at places like hotels and different restaurants and places like that, where people might use the bottle once and then not feel attached to it, want to throw it away. They could have the opportunity to recycle it and then have it be reused to either make other things or be reused in the future for future production.
Does that answer your question?
I just want to know if you've quantified the benefit.
Like with the.
What's it going to be worth it? Is it worth it? Yeah.
We weren't able to find any data that would allow us to be able to make such an implication. Voss is a private company. They are a foreign private company, and they are very particular in the amount of restrictions that depending on where you are geographically, like how able you are to identify the data, or to be able to access the data. What we found though was the statistics point to a growing trend in the future of mindfulness and a need to feel that you are contributing to sustainability. And what that shows is that even if right now it has a potentially negative impact on our bottom line, in the future, that's what our customers are going to care about. And if we want to be able to have that global base, and if we want to be able to attract that and strengthen that core consumer market, we need to be where they want us to be. And this is one of the places that they want us to be at. Hopefully one day we'll be able to get the data to be able to say this is exactly the price for the bottom line, but that day is not this day, and so instead we focused on long-term trends.
I have one more question about the social media. You talked about product placement, using endorsements, but cheaper endorsements. So are you talking about who are you talking about? Are you talking about Instagram? You're talking about getting people to do it. Who are these people? And because you're talking not about customer acquisition, you're talking about maintaining your current customer base. Is that what I'm understanding? So if that's the case, is that the way to go?
Yeah, well, the core customer base right now already looks to social media to discover and share new brands. And so by putting Voss in the hand of, say, their favorite Instagram model or their favorite travel blogger that also, is on social media, by putting it in that hand and framing that image, then you can effectively reach them and, influence their purchasing decision that way.
So based on your customer base, who is that person?
The person that we're targeting?
So who is that person whose hands you're going to put it in who appears on Instagram?
I don't think it's necessarily just one person, because putting it in just one person's hand, for instance, you saw Emma Watson up there. We didn't put Emma Watson up there just to say, we're going to pay Emma Watson $10 million, which happens to be most likely 40% of our revenue, to show that she has a Voss water bottle. We want to put it in many different people's hands. As Sheristy mentioned, it'd be the travel blogger and the people that convey luxury, like GQ models or something like that. You want to sponsor events that lots of different people feel attached to, which is why we also said art and culinary events, fitness events, different events for charity. And customers come on a global scale, so they're going to want different types of global people. But you can't put all your eggs in one basket on a celebrity endorsement. It's just not going to help you.
It seems tricky to navigate because on the one hand, these are more common people. They're cheaper and they're more, I guess they're easier to find. But on the other hand, you don't want to dilute the brand, make it less exclusive.
Not cheaper, relatable. They're more relatable. They're, I mean, you know, they still convey the type of image that Voss wants to convey through the travel, through their luxurious lifestyle, you know, whatever they show on their Instagram, or, you know, other social media, and, you know, the kind of lifestyle that a Voss consumer would want and can see without necessarily having a huge name or, you know, all that.
We're out of time.
Boy, well done.